Hi, it's Dr. Jen here, and today let's talk about the autonomic nervous system in benzo withdrawal. Let's start with some of the basics. Our autonomic nervous system, autonomic meaning automatic, it is the nervous system that's going to react without our conscious involvement. So if you're standing on the corner and a car's careening towards you, you're automatically going to jump out of the way. It's just built in. So our nervous system has two main opposite kind of extremes, if you will, of what state it's going to be in. Now, our default state is a state called the connect state. It is the state where we feel safe, we're relaxed. Scientists call our default state rest, digest, renew. And that state is called the connect state. It's called that because we feel safe. We don't have to think about ourselves. We have this outward focus. So it's a very pro-social stance. We can help our fellow man. We can be concerned about something outside of ourselves. And when we are in that state, that is where we feel safe. There's no threat. That response is a parasympathetic ventral vagal response. You don't need to remember all these words. Just remember you have a default state that is the connect state, and that's where we want to be. Because if you think about it, in modern life, there's not a lot of true threats coming at us. We're not cave people. We're not having to fight the weather and the animals. Modern life is really devoid of a lot of threats, but we feel like there are a lot of threats because we have a lot of emotional threats going on, or at least they're perceived threats. So remember that our bodies are going to react to a real threat, a car careening at us, or an imagined threat, a perceived threat. And so I think in the modern world, that's what most of us really are experiencing. And what can cause those? If somebody judges us or evaluates us, it's going to shift us out of that connect state and into a state of our nervous system that's called the protect state. Now it's about us. We are focused on ourselves. And that's where we feel a threat. So if somebody, again, if they judge us or evaluate us, we're going to feel like we have to defend ourselves emotionally. Well, this is why I'm doing that, or this is why whatever. And then, of course, there are some real threats every once in a while. You know, you're driving and maybe somebody cuts you off. Those types of things. But by and large, in today's modern world, there are not as many threats really going on as our nervous system tells us or wants us to believe. A lot of them are in our minds. They're imaginary. They're perceived threats. But nevertheless, our body still reacts to them. So we have to find ways to cope with that. And this is true for all human beings, not just people in benzo withdrawal. I'm really painting with a broad brush here, and I'm really talking about every human being. And then we're going to get specific about benzo withdrawal. So we've got the connect state. That's where we want to be. We want to hang out there. We feel safe. We're at peace. We can be calm and cozy. And then there's that opposite state, which is we feel a threat of some sort, physical or emotional, spiritual. And then our body goes into fight or flight, which is a sympathetic response, very active, a lot of adrenaline, cortisol, stress hormones. So we can be turning towards the threat to fight with it or running away, fleeing. But again, that's going to take a lot of energy. So fight or flight is the sympathetic response. And then there's a third survival mechanism, if you will, to threats, which is freeze. And that's where we just shut down. Sometimes we can't speak, we can't move. And of course, that's kind of the extreme of it. We can still be in that freeze part when we just can't think of something to say back, or, we feel overwhelmed, maybe depressed. There's all sorts of really nuanced layers and levels to this. I'm just giving you just the, autonomic nervous system 101 here. So that freeze state is a parasympathetic dorsal vagal shutdown. So we have the connect state, yummy, delicious, feels really good. That's where we want to be. And then we've got the protect state. And that's fight or flight, very active, or a shutdown. Now, let's apply this to benzo withdrawal. In benzo withdrawal, and I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. And I'm not editing this video, so apologize for the sneeze. In benzo withdrawal, we've ingested the medication, and it has made our brain more sedate. It is acting on GABA, which makes the sedation part, the inhibition, more than it's supposed to. And the brain wants to be at homeostasis. That's why I'm doing this. It wants to be at a balance. So gas pedal, which is glutamate, braking system, which is the GABA, they want to do this very intricate and delicate balance dance. But when we medicate with a benzo, we've got too much inhibition, too much sedation. So now the glutamate goes, wait a minute, I can't get through. So it's going to ramp up its activity. And at the same time, the brain's really smart. The brain says, oh, wait, let's turn off some of these receptors that the drug is activating so we won't be so sedate. So now you're out of balance. Too much glutamate, not enough GABA. So now you can't be at homeostasis. And that process of the drug working on those receptors is called neuro adaptation. The brain has adapted, trying to keep homeostasis. It's adapted. It's making changes, which means we are left with a nervous system that is usually in the protect state, more often than not, because you don't have enough working GABA receptors, enough of the inhibitory system to move you over into that really yummy, feel-good, cozy, relaxed connect state, the parasympathetic ventral vagal response. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Well, all of it's interesting, but this is really important to remember, that state drives story. The state of your nervous system drives, fuels and flavors your story, your internal narrative, your thoughts and feelings. State drives story. I spent decades with therapists trying to, overcome my childhood issues. And if somebody had just explained state drives story and told me about my nervous system, oh my gosh, it would have helped so much. But I'm grateful that I learned it. After getting my doctorate in psychology postdoc, I've turned towards studying social neuroscience, and that has made all the difference. So what the connect and the protect state really tucks into Dr. Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory. You can Google it, you can read about it and learn about it, but in benzo withdrawal, you are going to most often, your nervous system is going to most often be in that protect state. And state drives story. So when your nervous system is in the connect state, your thoughts and feelings are going to be pretty darn positive. You're going to feel confident, competent. You can be curious. You can be creative. You can be compassionate. All the good, yummy stuff is over here in this connect state. State drives story. Positive, positive, positive stuff when you're in the connect state. In the protect state, negative, 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 negative. Anger, resentment, jealousy, envy, rage, frustration, worry, you name it. Anything that we can think of as a negative emotion is going to be tucked into that protect state, because it's all about us. It's this inward focus. It's about me. That person did this bad thing to me. I didn't get enough, or I don't have enough. It's about me. And that internal focus is where we are most of the time in benzo withdrawal through no fault of our own. It doesn't mean that we're selfish, that we're narcissistic. This is not a character thing. This is not a moral evaluation here. If you broke your leg and you couldn't walk, people would understand that. You go, oh, broke my leg, I can't walk. You have a broken nervous system. You can't think rationally. You can't get into that calm where you can have more positive thoughts and feelings. Through no fault of your own, that neuro adaptation has taken place. So what can we do knowing that in benzo withdrawal, our nervous system is more often than not going to be in that protect state? And our thoughts and feelings are going to be usually very negative. And we're probably not going to be able to access a lot of good, positive, feel-good emotions. And we're certainly not going to be able to conjure up, so to speak, those positive thoughts. So what do we do? Well, one of the best things that we can do is to understand that state's driving story. If you think about this, we're gonna make a fist, and we're gonna make a model of our brain, so to speak. So this right here, that's your brain stem. You just can't even touch that stuff. That's all breathing and heart rate and whatnot. And if you were to move your thumb over, so deep within the brain, and then close your fist, this represents right here. This is your prefrontal cortex. This is the good stuff. This is going to really help with all the ventral vagal being in the connect state. But see, deep inside your brain, your thumb, that represents the threat detection circuitry, your limbic system. And you've got a right and a left amygdala, and they play a real key role. And amygdala is spelled A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A, amygdala, A-M-Y, Amy. So I used to walk around my house when I had all that negativity just, pumping 24 hours a day. And I would just do this to remind myself that my right and left amygdala were at play. State was driving story. My threat detection circuitry was unchecked. There was no balance. There was no GABA to bring it back down so that it was in balance. It was like a smoke detector going off, and there was no fire, no smoke. So I would walk around and I go, Amy, I hear you, the state's driving story. And the trick is, we don't want to get angry and frustrated with what's going on, because when you're angry and frustrated, that means what? Your nervous system is in the protect state, or that there's an enemy. And if there's an enemy, what do? We have to protect ourselves. So going deeper into the protect state isn't the answer. So what are some of the things that are over in the connect state that we can use? And it's all those things that are in the fourth cornerstone of well-being that I'm such an advocate for. If you don't know them, I just recently did a blog about how do we manage with protracted withdrawal, and I broke down the 4 cornerstones. They're also on the resource page on my website, benzowithdrawalhelp.com. But in the 4th cornerstone, it's kindness, caring, compassion, creativity, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole list of things. It's all kind of outward focused things. It's not about us. And we can just really be our shiniest, highest, and best when we're over in that connect state. So let's apply things from the 4th cornerstone to help soften that big response of our nervous system that is fueling those negative thoughts and feelings. So I would walk around and I would do this. I'd go, okay, Amy. Hey, Amy, thanks for doing your job. Your job is to keep me safe. And you're telling me, I'm not going to heal because, that's a message that maybe I should be doing more or doing, getting more help or whatnot. appreciate you doing your job. Because really, if you think about it, that's what our negative thoughts and feelings are all about. In some way, shape, or form, they're trying to keep us safe. That's what fear is all about. I'm afraid of this, so I need to either get away from it or fix it or whatever. So I would just say, Amy, thank you for doing your job. Really, really, really appreciate it. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. And then I'd say, but I've got this. Or God and I, we've got this. So I learned that arguing with my negative thoughts wasn't helpful. To get angry and frustrated wasn't helpful. To be afraid of them wasn't helpful. They're just thoughts. What are thoughts? They're just a body function. I sneezed a few minutes ago. No big deal, right? It's a body function. Our thoughts are no more significant than our sneezes. And if you've worked with me or listened to some of my older videos, I will often say, because you will remember this, your thoughts are no more significant than your farts. They're just body functions. When you pass gas, what is that an example of? Your digestive system. When you have all these negative thoughts and feelings swirling around, what is that evidence of? A hyperexcited nervous system in the protect state. That's it. That's it. They are thoughts and feelings. They're not facts. So the more that we understand, connect, protect, that's where though, of course there's overlaps and overlays, but we're just, doing a very broad look at it. Very simplistic look. You are going to be in the protect state through no fault of your own because of the neuro adaptation. But knowing that is going to be helpful to know, this is just a body function. If you broke your leg, you'd be patient, right? While it healed. Be patient with your brain. Be patient with your nervous system. Really look at those 4 cornerstones of well-being. Put as much of it into practice. Those are going to be the things that are the most healing and the most protective for every part of you as a human being, body, mind, and spirit. But have some compassion for yourself. Don't beat yourself up for being so negative. You wouldn't beat yourself up for having a broken leg. Don't beat yourself up for being in the protect state. But be kind and gentle with yourself. Have some compassion for your nervous system that has become so out of balance, dysregulated. Have some compassion for it. I trust you I promise you, trust me, that's the way to say it. Your nervous system, your brain is in there working harder and harder and harder to get back to homeostasis than you will ever know. You can trust that it is doing what it is designed to do to get back to homeostasis, and eventually it will. I am long past benzo withdrawal. This June 23rd, I will celebrate 13 years, 13 beautiful years that I have been benzo-free. And I've been well for many years. I never worry about if I have to have an antibiotic. I've had to have them twice, had to have surgery. If you follow my story, I had my breast implants removed. It was pretty intense surgery. Nothing brought back benzo withdrawal. You really are going to get well. But on your way, on this journey of recovery, please understand state drives story. And your nervous system is most often in the protect state through no fault of your own. This isn't a moral issue, a character default. It happened because of that neuro adaptation. And one of the best ways to cope with that is to simply observe the negative thoughts, know that they're not based on really anything that's real, probably. Let them be. Don't argue with them. Don't fight them. Don't debate them. Just have a little kindness, a little compassion for your threat detection circuitry that is working overtime. Say, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Good job. Good job. Thank you. But I've got this. I've got this. I am safe. I am healing. I will recover. Because those are the things that are going to happen, I promise. So let's say it together. I am safe, I am healing, I will recover. I am safe, I am healing, I will recover. Because those things are true. I hope this was helpful, knowing the connect state versus the protect state. And one day, I promise you, you will get back and be more able to live most of the day in that connect state. I live there most of the time, and it is yummy. And I didn't even before benzos, because I had all my trauma. But the 4 cornerstones of well-being have been my ticket to healing, even all my childhood trauma. They are wonderful. If you don't know about them, I encourage you to go learn more about them and put them into practice. But know that all this negativity is going to go away. It really will. All right, my dear friends, till next time, please take good care of yourselves.